The jungle was alive with whispers, but not the kind humans usually hear. Shadows moved between the massive trees, larger than any animal should be. A faint hum, like electricity, vibrated in the air. The predators had arrived. One by one, they stepped out of the darkness. Their armor glinted under the faint moonlight. Blades, plasma cannons, and weapons of every imaginable design were strapped to their bodies. Each one moved with deadly precision, hunting instincts sharp, senses primed for the kill. Nothing could escape them. And then, a human appeared. He walked casually through the undergrowth, hands full of a crumpled grocery list and a backpack that seemed suspiciously normal. Not a weapon in sight. No armor, no plan, just a man humming to himself as if he owned the jungle. The predators froze, scanning, confused. One hissed, stepping closer, blades ready. Another tilted its head, curious but cautious. The tension was unbearable. Every instinct told the hunters to attack. Yet, something about this human felt different. The human reached into his backpack, pulled out a bag of chips, and crunched. Loudly. Silence fell. The deadliest hunters in the galaxy, armed and lethal, stared at a man casually snacking in their territory. The jungle held its breath. And that was when the hunt didn't go as expected. The jungle seemed to shrink around them. Every predator circled, claws flexing, plasma cannons humming, their mandibles clicking in irritation. The human? He crouched on a fallen log and calmly opened another snack. Crunch. The sound echoed unnaturally, like a challenge thrown into the heart of a battlefield. The predators froze mid-step. One growled, a low, guttural sound that shook the leaves. "What is this?" it hissed through its mask, tilting its head. The human looked up, smiling faintly. "You guys look hungry." He held out a small chocolate bar. The lead predator took a slow, cautious step forward. Its hand hovered over a wrist-mounted blade, ready to strike. Its glowing eyes burned into the human's, searching for fear. But the human didn't flinch. He just popped the candy into his mouth. Another predator let out a hiss of frustration. "Why is it not afraid?" The human shrugged. "I have a grocery list. Some of you might like snacks. Some might not. But trust me, this is important." Confusion rippled through the group. Predators, the galaxy's deadliest hunters, had never encountered such behavior. There was no fear. No panic. Only calm. A loud, mechanical chirp came from one predator's shoulder device, scanning, analyzing. "This human anomaly, illogical," it muttered. The human reached into his backpack again. "I have chips, cookies, and even some trail mix if you're adventurous." He pulled out a small granola bar and waved it in the air. The predators shifted uneasily. They had come to hunt, to prove dominance, to feast. And now, they were staring at snacks. And in that moment, the hunters realized something terrifying. This human wasn't just unarmed, he was untouchable. The jungle was quiet now, but the tension was thicker than ever. The predators exchanged wary glances, their weapons still raised, but hesitation flickered across their armored bodies. No one had ever dared treat a predator like this. The lead predator stepped closer, mandibles twitching, voice low and dangerous. "Explain why you are not fleeing. Why you are eating." The human smiled casually, brushing crumbs from his hands. "Relax. I come in peace, mostly. I just needed to check a few things off my grocery list." The words hung in the air. One predator hissed in disbelief. Another clicked its jaw, an expression of genuine confusion. "Grocery list," the lead predator repeated, incredulous. This is your defense." The human reached into his backpack again, this time producing a small sandwich. "Yep. Turkey and cheese. Want a bite?" The lead predator froze mid-step. The others shuffled uncomfortably, unsure if attacking now would violate some unknown rule of snack diplomacy. A younger predator, less experienced but braver, dared to ask, Is this some kind of trap?" The human chuckled. "No traps. Just snacks. I promise I'm more dangerous with a calculator than with a weapon." Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the predators began lowering their weapons. One inspected a granola bar with its claws, turning it over like it was an alien artifact. Another muttered something in its guttural language, which sounded suspiciously like, "We came to hunt, and yet, we're hungry." The human leaned back on a tree stump, taking a sip from his water bottle. "So, truce? I share the snacks. You don't try to make me your next trophy. Fair?" The lead predator's glowing eyes narrowed, mandibles clicking. A tense silence fell. And then, a soft, almost imperceptible chirp of agreement. The human winked. Good. Now, who wants chips? In that moment, the jungle shifted. The hunters had come seeking blood, but they were meeting something entirely new. Something completely illogical. And the human? He was winning. For a moment, the jungle held its breath. Predators, deadly hunters of the galaxy, had lowered their weapons. The human, calm, confident, and dangerously unarmed, started handing out snacks. It began simply. A bag of chips floated from human hand to predator claw. Crunch. The sound echoed, louder than any battle cry. One predator took a tentative bite, then another, and another. And then it happened. A predator, distracted by a particularly large chocolate bar, slipped on a soda can left carelessly by the human. It tumbled into a tangle of vines, growling and thrashing, while the human calmly apologized, "Watch the floor, slippery." Another predator lunged for a granola bar, but misjudged the distance, and ended up face first in a mud puddle. The others hissed in indignation, mandibles clicking, unsure whether to attack or laugh. Meanwhile, the human was setting up a mini snack station. Cookies here, chips there, and a small pile of trail mix that mysteriously disappeared within seconds. The predators argued, over flavors, portions, and which snack was superior. "Turkish delight," one hissed, holding up a half-eaten cookie. "This is acceptable." "Unacceptable," another growled, tossing a bag of chips over its shoulder. "Sweet snacks, inferior to protein bars." Amidst all this, the human leaned against a tree, calmly sipping water, jotting notes on his grocery list as if nothing unusual were happening. "You guys argue like kids," he said. "Relax. There's plenty for everyone." The jungle had turned upside down. Weapons lay forgotten. Hunters were reduced to squabbling over candy and chips. The human, once the hunted, had become the host of the most absurd feast in galactic history. And in that moment, one thought struck the predators, loud, clear, and terrifying. This human wasn't just fearless, he was chaos incarnate. The jungle was a mess. Crumpled snack wrappers littered the forest floor. Mud-streaked predators grumbled in confusion, licking chocolate off their claws, untangling themselves from vines, and occasionally glancing nervously at the human. He stood calmly in the center, backpack slung over one shoulder, checking his grocery list. "All done," he muttered, scribbling a check mark next to snacks for aliens. The lead predator took a slow step forward, eyes glowing. Mandibles clicked, threatening, but no attack came. Something about this human, it didn't make sense. He had no weapons, no armor, no strategy. And yet, he had survived, unscathed, while turning the galaxy's deadliest hunters into snack addicts. The predators exchanged confused glances. One whispered something that sounded like, "We came to hunt, but we have been fed." Another nodded, reluctantly. "Leave, for now." And just like that, the hunters, proud, lethal, and feared across galaxies, turned and disappeared into the shadows. Their hunt was unfinished, their honor slightly bruised, and their minds perplexed. The human hoisted his backpack, smirked, and started walking toward the edge of the jungle. Birds scattered, leaves rustled, and the legend began to grow with every step. Somewhere deep in the forest, a predator muttered, barely audible, "Never underestimate snacks." The human paused, looked back once, and waved casually. "See you next grocery run," he called. And with that, he vanished into the night, leaving behind a story that would be told for centuries. The day the hunters came prepared, and the human came with snacks.